Hello YouTube, welcome back to another video, and in today's video I wanted to give you some tips and tricks and also talk to you about a few apps that I use on the HTC One. So first of all, the first app I've installed, it's called Antec. If I just show you that here, it's called Antec Quick Settings. And basically what this app allows you to do is, if you've seen Android 4.2.2 on the Galaxy Nexus or the Nexus 4 or any of them, you can actually swipe in from one side and get access to these quick settings, which sort of look like this. And if I just zoom in a little bit here, this app basically gives you that functionality that you can have sort of custom tiles. You can see GPS, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, tethering, anything you sort of want. Also the active tiles like the alarm. And it's an app that can be downloaded. You can see here Antec Quick Settings, and there's a pro version of this as well. And you can add lots and lots of different features like applications or different shortcuts, depending on what you use the most. And basically the reason I installed this app, if I go back to my home screen, is because if I was to swipe in from the normal side, which is the sort of the standard HTC notification area, you see you don't get any quick settings. And yeah, you have to click sort of the settings button, and then that takes you into the settings. But there is actually this app which works on 4.1.2 that if you're swiping from the right, depending on how you have it set up in the settings, that you actually get access to these quick settings. You can have, like I said, lots and lots of different ones, and also the notification area doesn't open fully, so you can see here it only opens as far as the notifications reach. So that's the first thing I would install to have sort of the quick access to all the shortcuts that I need. Then the next app I would install would be called Snapseed, and it's by Nick Software, and Nick Software is a very well-known developer for Photoshop filters or Photoshop add-ons that can be downloaded. They're quite expensive, but they do deliver really good performance. There is Nick Software Color Effects, I think there's Nick Software Black and White, or Silver Magic I think it's called, where basically you can turn your pictures into black and white. And they also have a smartphone app, and with the HTC One having a really good camera, especially in low light, you can actually install this app and edit your pictures even more so. So you can see here it's called Snapseed, and you can actually edit the pictures, and there are lots of different apps at the bottom here, filters and adjustments that can be made. And they're not just sort of your basic filters, cross process and stuff. You can actually crop, rotate, straighten, you can tune the image if you want it to. So you can see here, if I was to swipe my finger up, I can choose between lots of different ones. So if the white balance is off, I can swipe up and down, left, right, whatever I want it to, or go back to, for example, contrast or saturation. If I didn't like to be in too much color, or there was not enough color, I can sort of swipe left to right, and hopefully you can see that on the screen okay on this sort of demo picture. And like I said, lots of editing options that can be done. I know you get HTC Zoe, and I know these you get some of these options, but Snapseed is a really well-known developer and well worth having a look at this app. Then the next app I would install, and that would be to replace BlinkFeed with either Flipboard or Feedly. And basically the reason I would change sort of from using BlinkFeed is because Flipboard and Feedly actually allow you to use your custom RSS, and they actually look really nice as well. So if I show you Flipboard, most people should be familiar with Flipboard. Excuse me, that was the doorbell. And you can see here you get the cover stories, and you can sort of swipe up and you get presented with lots of different stories here, and they sort of animate as well. So it's a really nice way of sort of looking at your stories. And Feedly as well works the same way. So if you click on Feedly, you get your Google RSS feeds actually coming in. And Feedly is actually not as pretty as Flipboard, but it still does the job very well. You can see here you get all your sort of feeds, the RSS where you've got, and then you get them in different styles. You can have different themes and stuff. So it works just like Flipboard and has all your custom RSS feeds and stuff, but actually I prefer this because this is sort of much sleeker and quicker. But you can sort of have Flipboard if you like the BlinkFeed look. Flipboard's the way to go for you. Then some tips in terms of how to speed up the device and sort of make it more user friendly. First thing I tend to do is always go into my settings, swipe all the way down, go into developer options. If developer options isn't available, click on about, and then you can see here it says software information. I'll click on that, and then it says build number or Android version, and you just keep tapping it, and that should enable your developer mode. And then you go into developer options, it gives you a sort of warning, and then I would scroll down all the way to advanced on the HTC One. This is only the way on the HTC One. All other phones have this menu already enabled. and then I would go down to here where it says animations, and I would disable those animations. So window animations, transitions, and animated duration scale, all these are turned off, and it makes the phone just that little bit snappier and speeds things up. So that's the way I, that's the first thing I sort of do when I get a new phone. Then something that I've noticed with the HTC One, blink feed is actually set to the default home page. So every time you press the home button, you get directly onto a blink feed. Whereas now, if you actually press the home button, you go onto this page here. And the way to disable blink feed, you actually need to pinch in, and then you can see here there's a little house on top of my home screen. And basically what you can do is if you, for example, hold blink feed, you can actually drag it up and then set it as a home. Or if that's not the page you want, like I have set here, I actually did this, dragged it, and then dragged it over. And so that way I have it now that, for example, if I'm not using blink feed, which I'm not, you can actually just click home and then it takes you straight to that. So for example, if I was to open my app drawer and then click home, if I had blink feed set as home, it would actually take me to blink feed. But I have this, home page here set, so that's where it takes me. So one way of disabling it. And then something else with regards to blink feed, if you go all the way to the top, if you've been using it, I actually disabled the whole of blink feed in terms of its updates to reduce battery drain, and also my topics and stuff. I've reduced all that. So I'll go into my topics, you can see here, and disable basically everything I can, and disable all those features in blink feed, because I'm actually not using it, and that's why I've recommended Flipboard or Feedly. And you can see that here. And then also if you go into settings, you can actually turn off the auto refresh and local content and stuff. You can turn all that off, and it actually reduces the refresh time, and that reduces battery drain. Another thing I'd do as well is actually install a battery widget, and the reason I would install this is in the status bar. You can see here, again, I'm swiping from the wrong side, you can see it tells me how much percentage there's, remember, because there's no actual way of enabling this sort of natively in HTC Sense. You can see the battery at the top, there you go. You can see there's only the time, the battery indicator, and that's it, but you don't actually get a percentage. And so I've actually installed this battery widget here, which tells me my percent, how much I've got left. And that's something I'm really, big fan of, because I tend to, prefer to go by percentages, because, this sort of green bar doesn't mean anything to me. So that's, something I installed straight away. It's called Battery Widget Reborn. And you can get that in the App Store. It's free, but you can also get a 69p version, which is the Pro version, which is the NACE, the developer basically. And there are some, a couple more features, but the standard version is pretty good. But if you want to support the developer, go and buy his app. And then last thing I would do, because there's a lot of bloatware on the HTC One that comes with it, like HTC Digital, then you get your kid mode as well. If you, for example, don't have kids, it just clutters your app drawer here, and you can see it's difficult to swipe, all the way to the top really quickly. And yeah, there are ways of sort of customizing it by having a custom one, and also hiding apps, like you can see here in the menu. But I personally tend to open my app drawer, press it, go into the settings, click apps, and then swipe all the way over to all, and then disable all the ones I don't use. So for example, 7 Digital, if I don't use it, I would click on it and disable it, because this actually, there could be apps running in the background that you might be not using at all, but they could be draining your battery. So by disabling them, you're actually freeing up some space on your phone as well, freeing up some memory, and they're not running in the background. And that's something else I would do to sort of make the phone a little bit quicker. Like here you can see, for example, if you don't use live wallpapers, I'll disable them altogether. Stops you from every time to sort of, if you want to change your wallpaper, to annoyingly ask you whether you want to change it to a live wallpaper. But then that really concludes the look at the HTC One in terms of, the sort of tips and tricks, and what kind of apps to install on the phone straight away. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, queries, please leave them down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.